everybody, I'm Kimberly Edwards from cookingwithkimberly.com, and tonight I'm going to teach you guys how to make homemade dolmas, and that means stuffed grape leaves in Greek. So actually what I'm going to do, it's that time of year. It's end of spring and it's beginning of summer, and all the grape leaves have sprouted out of our vines, and we happen to have a bunch of them on our property that we grow. So I'm going to go outside and I'm going to pick probably, I don't know, 30 to 35 nice sized leaves. I don't want great big ones. I don't want little small ones either. But I want them, you know, somewhat medium sized ones. And the tip that I got from somebody was to go look at the top leaf on the outside facing the sun and go under about 3 or 4 leaves. Start taking them off from the stalk 3 or 4 down, and they'll be more tender, etc. So that's what I'm going to do. And we do these all the time, actually, and you can even store your leaves, you can dry your leaves, you can put them in the freezer, you can can them, you can do all kinds of cool things. But grape leaves are a great way to stuff things, and what we're using is some ground meat and some rice. It's a very simple recipe. Now, it's kind of like cabbage rolls, how you would have cabbage rolls, except instead of the cabbage, you're using grape leaves. So they're much thinner and they're tender, but they still need to be cooked for quite some time. So I'm going to go outside right now and get some leaves right after I get my rice going. Now, my rice, I'm using a Thai rice. I like to use a rice that's going to have some nice bite. Now, this particular rice is I don't even know what it's called. It had some language I could not pronounce. I couldn't even presume to tell you exactly which language it is. Anyway, it's Thai white rice. Now, the ratio for my rice today is 1:1. Now, some rices like this that are not parboiled require double the amount of liquid as you do the rice. But in this particular instance, this particular kind of rice, we only need, it's a 1:1 ratio. So I'm going to make 2 cups of rice, and I'm going to use 2 cups of broth. So I'm going to measure out 2 cups of this rice, easy peasy, into a colander or a strainer. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go and I'm going to rinse out this rice under some nice cool water, okay? So I'm going to rinse it out, I'm going to move it around, and I'm going to scrub it around the edges of this nice strainer. And what that's going to do is it's going to release the things on the outside that, you know, cause the cloudiness and the gunkiness in rice. Instead of having nice fluffy separate grains of rice, you have this gunky mess that you don't want to eat because it's like got all this starchy stuff on it. Well, actually those are saponins on the outside, and they just need to be rinsed off. So you can keep them on if you want to. Things like arborio rice, when you're making risotto, actually, that's what you want. You want to retain that starchiness and those saponins on the outside. Now, with this kind of stuff, not in my opinion, in my taste, I don't want that. So I'm going to rinse that off until you see that the water is running clear, and then you could be satisfied, and you just kind of wring it out. And I'll be right back. Okay, now this has been all nice and rinsed. I just have a bowl to keep it from dripping everywhere, right? Now on my stove behind me, I have a medium-sized saucepan, and I have had it preheating on the stove with about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now you can use whatever kind of oil you want, but olive oil is very, you know, Mediterranean. So we're going to use olive oil tonight. That's the flavor I'm looking for. So this has already been preheated, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to toast this rice. Okay, so I'm going to put this in this oil, and I'm going to move it around with a nice paddle or a wooden spoon, something like that. And I want to dry out the rice, okay? I want to toast it a little bit. It's going to get slightly golden in color. It's not going to change color like a whole lot, okay? Don't expect it to turn like brown and black. It's not going to burn on you. It's not going to turn brown, okay? Unless you leave it sitting there forever and ever. So put it in this oil. You're going to hear it probably sizzle here. Yep, well, I hear it. And it's sizzling. So I'm going to move it around, and I'm going to kind of babysit this. We're going to dry this out. It's wet from the sink. We're going to dry it out, and then it's going to toast a little bit. This is going to take about 7 or 8 minutes for you. And what it's going to do is it's going to help you when you're making this rice, so the rice is not mushy, okay? Now you can undercook it and do all kinds of cool things and whatever, but I want mine like done perfectly. I want it to have a nice grain. I don't want it to be gunky. I don't want them sticking together, and I want it to have a nice bite, but I don't want it to be hard and crunchy. Now, also toasting it enhances the flavors. Now, it gets out the nutty smell, the fragrance, and the flavor. And you're going to be able to smell that when you're doing this, right? You're going to smell a slightly nutty flavor as it's toasting. And that's exactly what you're looking for, exactly what you want. So keep on going. You're going to babysit this periodically, like you can come talk and hang out for a minute, and then you got to go back and stir it until you're good and satisfied that it's done. And then when it's done, you are then and only then are you going to add that liquid back into there, okay? So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for this thing, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to cut myself about 30 leaves really, really fast. I mean, you can either use scissors or you can use a knife or you can just break them off. And I don't even think it requires anything but probably just a rip off. So I'll be back and I'm going to show you what to do those leaves momentarily. Okay, my rice looks good. I actually took it off for a second to get organized. So it looks good. It's nice and toasted. It smells great. It smells all nutty and lovely, and it's all like nice and toasted up. If you can see that, it's gorgeous. Okay, so it's back on my stovetop. I'm going to heat this back up in a second. So I need 2 cups of liquid. Use whatever kind you want. If you have stock, I only have a little bit left today. If you have stock, if you have tea, if you have drippings from something, if you want to use water, go ahead and use water. But if you can impart more flavor, more power to you. So I have some tea sitting here. That's been sitting here all day, just cold. And I also keep my tea, as we all know. So I'm gonna go. Okay, 2 cups. There we go. 2 cups of liquid, okay, into my pot. It's sizzling and happy. Now, you might need a little bit more. So I'm going to actually put some of this in here. About 3/4 of a cup worth. You may need more. You're going to have to eyeball it and watch it, okay? So I'm going to stir this back up now that it's all stopped sizzling. And we're going to cook this. Okay. So we're going to put this on a medium-high heat. And I'm going to put the lid on it that I have here. And I'm going to let that sit for 1 second while I get my spices out for you guys. All right, so into this, I am going to add some peppercorns. I'm going to add some Camp Hot peppercorns, but I'm going to add white ones. About a dozen of them. Now, these guys are from Cambodia. They have a super cool, great flavor and texture, but I'm not going to break them up tonight. I'm just throwing them in whole just for some flavor. I'm also going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of red chili flakes. Maybe not that much. Maybe a 1/4 teaspoon. 1/4 teaspoon of red chili flakes. Okay, into it goes. I also need to add some salt because I haven't added any salt, and rice needs quite a bit of salt, right? So we are going to add some salt. I'm going to use, what am I going to use? I'm going to use this beautiful Cypress Flake sea salt. It's a Drogeria spice grinder. These guys are heavy duty and fantastic. In it goes. So I'm going to put generously grind some salt. You're probably looking for maybe a 1/2 teaspoon at least here. Okay, we're going to let that go. I'm also going to add a bay leaf, and that just looks like this. Into it we go. Lovely. Now, we have to get this meat set up, and I'm going to take this down while I'm thinking about it. That's exactly what I need. Okay, now today, hold on. When you have your rice going, make sure you set the timer, okay? So we're going to put the timer on for about 10 minutes, okay? We're going to eyeball this. We need to bring it back up to a boil, but I know that's going to come up pretty quickly to a boil. So it's going to be probably about 20 minutes and just a little tiny bit. But I'd rather err on the side of remembering to set my timer than not remember at all. Okay, so here we go. We have a frying pan. I'm going to switch elements. Here we go. I have a frying pan that I'm going to heat on medium-low heat. Medium heat, I'd say. All right, about a 3/4 of a tablespoon of olive oil. All right. Now you can use whatever meat you want. You can use ground meat, ground chicken, ground turkey, ground beef, ground veal, ground whatever. Okay. Tonight I'm using ground pork. The last time I made these, I used ground veal, and they were fantastic and stellar. You can even use lamb. Okay. Tonight I just happen to have pork, and that's what we're doing. So into my pan, now that it's already preheated, probably. Yep, the oil is nice and dancing. I am going to throw in my meat, and we're just going to brown it up. So everything that's going into these grape leaves is already cooked before it goes in, okay? Awesome. So use your handy dandy spatula, break it all up, and we're gonna season this meat, okay? This meat needs to be seasoned. This is a lean ground pork. Now, if you're not using a meat that's lean, which most of them come in lean varieties everywhere now, if you're using a meat that's not so lean and it has a lot of fat rendering out of that while you're cooking it, make sure you drain off that fat before you use the meat in the mixture for the rice, okay? Now, we're gonna need a bowl to mix everything into. That's my mixture bowl. Next, here's my grape leaves. Let's talk about grape leaves. Now, I went outside to our vines and I grabbed, this is a double batch, so I'm gonna freeze half of these leaves. I have probably 70 leaves here. I'm gonna do 35 tonight, and I'm gonna freeze 35 of them. When you are grabbing these suckers, now we have a wide variety of grapevines here, okay? So these are different types of grape plants. This is what they look like. It probably looks crazy to y'all. Okay, so this is a bigger leaf. Now some of these leaves get to be like that enormous, huge leaves. When I tell you that, I am not lying. Some of them are still really tiny. Like this is a tinier one, but you can still stuff that. Now this is probably on the bigger side. I don't want to use a leaf probably bigger than that because it's going to get tougher. I have to cook it longer and it has a little bit different texture. I would say it's even a little bit more bitter. Okay? Now, not that I don't like that. I love the fact that they're bitter. So I'm going to rinse these off. Half of them are going to rinse off. The ones that I'm actually using this evening, I'm going to count out 35 of them, and I'm going to save 35 of them. So I'm going to count them out, right? So pretend we did. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going over to the sink. I'm rinsing them off. Okay? Just rinse them off. That's all you need to do. And then I'll be back here. Now, if you're going to do the same thing. If you're already going to cut off leaves, okay? You're going to want to do a bunch at a time because, yes, although leaves grow all year, you're not going to get those beautiful new shoots and the new growth. This is the time when you need to harvest. Harvest now. Harvest a lot. Plentiful. Now, every time I make them, if I'm going to make a baking dish, a baking dish about this size, that's what I'm using tonight, I need 35. Okay, and that's going to feed 3 to 4 people comfortably. Okay? So that's what I'm doing. The leaves that you're using for meals in the future that you're going to freeze, okay? You can just freeze these bad boys in a Ziploc bag. Cut off the stems, snip off the stem, just like this, snip them off, okay? And you're just going to lay them flat. Wipe them off. Don't rinse them underwater, okay? Wipe them off if they're dirty. And then you're just going to stack them like this in your resealable plastic bag. Throw them in the freezer with a date on them so you know what's going on and how many are in there so you know how many are in there so you can make what you want. Got me? Yay. Now we got all that out. My meat's coming along just fine. We're actually going to season this stuff up just a little bit. Sit tight, 1 second. Okay, now this evening I'm going to use a little bit of red wine in here, but I'm going to do it in a moment. Okay? Right now I'm going to season with some salt and some pepper. Just a pepper grinder. It's also from Drogeria. Use some pepper. Everything needs to be seasoned, okay? Beautiful. Now, I'm going to check on my rice. It's boiling happily. I'm going to turn this down to a low heat. I wanted to bring it up quickly, and now I'm bringing it back down to a nice low heat. I'm going to reset my timer here for 15 more minutes. Okay, so my meat's going here. Lovely. Got me? Let's move these leaves. Let's move the leaves. Let's season the meat and then we'll do the leaves, okay? All right, into my meat, I'm going to add a couple dashes of cayenne pepper. This is an organic one, but you don't need to use organic if you don't want to, okay? Next things next, I'm going to use a little bit of parsley, and I actually have some fresh parsley. Sit tight. Now, Dolmas aren't really seasoned a lot from the outside. I mean, it's not coated in a huge sauce like a tomatoey sauce like cabbage rolls would be, for instance. Now, I'm going to put some lemon and some broth on it if you have it. You could put that, or you could put some wine, or you can just put some, some liquid, some flavorful liquid. I have about like a handful of fresh parsley. I just washed it, and I'm going to run through it here with my knife and just mince it up, chop it as nice and quickly as I can. It's going to go into that meat, okay? There's only a couple things that I'm putting in there. I like to keep it simple when I'm doing them Greek style because I think that's the essence of this dish, okay? So into my meat goes my parsley. This won't take long to cook. And I don't have fresh mint, but I'm going to use some crushed mint, okay? So I'm going to use now I'm not a crazy mint lover. However, when I'm making some some Indian foods, some South Asian foods, even some Thai foods, and some Greek food, etc. Things that require mint. I'm not crazy about mint, but in this particular dish and in the right proportion, it's something that makes you go, that's tasty, as opposed to, ew, that's mint, okay? So this is my accomplished goal here. Half a teaspoon of crushed mint. That's it, okay? For me. Now, if you really like that stuff, go ahead and put a whole bunch. Use fresh, whatever, okay? Not me. I'm not using this tonight, okay? And I'm going to put a little bit of salt as well. I'm going to use that same salt grinder. It's a Cypress sea salt flake. And there it goes. Okay. Stir this up. Make sure that your meat is nice and broken down, finely crumbled, so that you have a nice, even consistency inside your dolmas. No one wants big chunks of meat and a whole big chunk of rice and this and that. You want to make sure that everything is nice and evenly distributed. This meat is almost done here. It smells fantastic. I'm really excited. I can't wait to eat these. Okay, off to my leaves. I'm going to go count them and rinse them off, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we are going to add some red wine to this meat now that it's already cooked through. It's browned through. So we're going to add a little bit more liquid. Here we go. That's probably 2 tablespoons worth, I would say. I just kind of counted in my head. If you count for like 4 seconds with olive oil, it's about a tablespoon. So you try and, mimic that with other liquids as well as you see fit. Just use your brain is all. So I'm going to let that just reduce a bit. It's going to get rid of all that alcohol in there, but it's going to leave a little bit of that nice red wine flavor that we're looking for, okay? That's just going to really perk up this dish. Now, you can add lemon juice to this. You could have added white wine to this. You could use just about whatever you want. But alcohol carries flavor. It enhances flavor, okay? And even though it dissipates, it leaves behind this beautiful flavor, and the alcohol does something to the molecules in there that makes everything just taste so yummy and good, okay? So I have my lemon ready, just setting on the side, just so that you know. I have washed all of my leaves. Now, the next thing to do with these leaves is to take them. They have the stems on. It was the easiest way to pull them off the vine. So now they have a stem on, and I'm just going to take my knife and gently cut those stems off as close as I can to the leaf and leave them nice and flat like that, okay? I'm going to show you one more. So here's the stem. Got me? Take your knife. Be gentle. Don't cut into the leaf at all, and just leave the leaf. So you're going to do that for the next 30 leaves, and we'll be right back. By that time, my meat should be completely ready, and I'll show you how to mix together this rice and the meat. Now, make sure that you're checking on your rice as well. You want to just make sure that it's, you can get your fork through it. It's not sticking to the bottom. That's very important. Make sure that your temperature is low enough that it's not sticking to the bottom. This looks good. I have probably another 6 minutes left, but I think that I need more liquid because my rice has soaked up all my liquid. So you got to use common sense when you use rice because it's different every time. You just never knew, okay? I'm just going to taste a little tiny bit of it and make sure that I'm not way off in how tender it is. Actually, that's pretty darn close. I would say this is going to be done in about 4 minutes. I'm going to add a little bit more liquid, probably about 1/4 of a cup of the 3/4 of a cup I reserved. So just eyeball that. I'm going to stir this in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the heat, put the lid on, and let it just sit there and steam. And that's going to be absolutely perfect. Okay? So my rice is no longer a concern. My meat is just reducing that little bit extra bit of liquid that we added in there. And I'm going to continue on these leaves, and we'll be right back. While I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about these leaves while I'm cutting them, I need to stress to you guys, I can't stress it to you enough even. Make sure you're using leaves, the grape leaves, from somewhere you know the history of, okay? In other words, you can't use leaves that have been treated with herbicides and pesticides and weed killer and all that stuff, okay? So if you have your own grapevines at home, that's fabulous because you know exactly what you've done to them and what you haven't. If not, you can't just hop into someone's, even a vineyard's fields, because you can't guarantee that they don't use that stuff. Just because they say, that they're organic doesn't necessarily mean they are. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying. I don't trust anyone except when I know where they comes from. Now, if you're looking outside and you're looking at some real wild grapevines and they're out in like some field in boondock land or in the forest, you're probably okay. I could probably say you probably aren't going to be dealing with pesticides and herbicides out there, okay? Just use your common sense and you should be okay. But again, if you can grow your own, obviously that's always the best, right? So that's it, that's all. I'm almost halfway done. Okay, it's time for doing your taste test, and I just did mine. My meat needs a little bit more pepper. Put a little bit more ground freshly cracked pepper in here. There we go. And that should do it. I'm gonna take it off here so it can cool a little bit. And my rice required just a little bit more salt. Now, if you want to salt your rice prior to, I'm sorry, I'm looking everywhere except you guys. If you want to salt your water, go ahead. And sometimes I do. As you saw, I put quite a bit of salt in. But every now and again, you need a little bit more salt. I mean, everything is just something you have to wing with a taste test. Even master chefs have to do taste tests to make sure that everything tastes proper at the end, because it's different every day. Every ingredient is a different thing. Now I'm going to pick out these bay leaves as best I can, because no one wants to eat a big chunk of bay leaf inside of a Dolmas, okay? Now, what do you serve these with? You can serve these with sour cream. That's what I'm serving mine with. And you can also serve them with lime wedges and lemon wedges and sprinkle that on top. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So this is hot, hot, hot. I'm going to take some of it out and put it into my bowl here to cool and to mix in with the meat. Now, I'm probably not even going to use all this. I'm going to have leftover rice, which is great. I love making leftover rice because you can always use it for something tomorrow. So I'm going to guesstimate here, and it looks like I'm using probably, I don't know, 2.5, 3 cups of rice, okay? Now, into that, I'm going to mix my meat. And again, I'm going to eyeball because I may not even need all of this, okay? It's probably about half and half rice and meat. Okay. Mix it all up together nice. And you can also pre-mix this and freeze it as well, so that you already have the filling ready and you have the grape leaves ready. So then you just need to defrost this stuff and you can stuff them and get everything prepared accordingly, right? Okay, so that looks pretty darn good. You're going to also do one last taste test because everything mixed together is going to taste different than it did separate, okay? So I'm going to grab another fork here. That's tasty. Okay, that's going to be great, but it needs to be picked up with the lemon for sure on the outside. Now let me show you how these are going to go, okay? I've got my baking dish here. I can move this. I don't need this anymore. Ooh, that's tasty. I might put just a little bit, tiny bit more salt. Mix that in. Okay, now, this is how it's gonna roll, okay? And I guess I could use this back. My baking dish, I am going to grease up. Now, you can grease it up with olive oil, you can grease it up with whatever oil you want, you can grease it up with butter. Tonight I'm using bacon fat. When I cook my bacon in the mornings, I save all that nice fat for all kinds of great flavor for dishes like this, where you don't actually add bacon, but you wouldn't be mad at a little bit of bacon flavor all over that, would you? Not really. And it's a great non-stick device. It's beautiful, okay? Packed full of flavor. Just keep it in a little bowl in your fridge. Simple, easy. Use a brush, okay? All right, so that's done. The bottom, perfect, okay? Next, all my leaves are done, okay? I'm going to take a couple out. Now, as you can see with these leaves, one side is going to be super green. That's the front side where the sun was. And then the back side is a lighter color. Same with this. This is the front. This is the back. See the difference in color? Now you can definitely tell the difference. The outside of these leaves are going to be on the outside, protecting it just like normal, okay? So you're going to stuff the inside part with that meat, okay? So we're going to grab this. And I need a spoon. Use a tablespoon. It's the best thing. All right, so here we go. You're going to grab 1 tablespoon. Don't overfill these because once they're overfilled, it's over, okay? They're just going to burst open. You don't want them to burst open. You want nice little packages of grape deliciousness, okay? So you're going to take 1 tablespoon like that, like a heaping tablespoon. Put it right in the center. I'll hold up a leaf to show you what I mean. Okay. If you'd have the leaf like this is the center. Right where that stem came from, that's where you're going to put that stuffing. Let me show you on another leaf. You're going to put it right here. See how this splits? Right there at the bottom. That's where you're going to put it. Okay? So I have it, and you're going to roll it this way. So we're going to roll it. We're going to enclose it kind of like a Christmas present. Okay? You're going to take those two little bottom sides, these little bottom sides, and flip them over top like that. So that's what I'm doing. You flip those over top, you bring the sides in, and you roll that thing over. Okay? Until you have this nice little tiny grape roll. You are going to put that seam side down so it doesn't burst open on you. Okay? The first couple might be the hardest because they don't sit right. And you're just going to line them up in your baking tray until you're done. So this is a very tedious, not really tedious, it's just repetitive. And it's going to take me a while. It's all the same thing. You guys don't really need to watch this. But I'll show you one or two more. Now, again, if you overfill it, it's a problem. So err on the side of underfilling. Okay? All right, one more time. Right in the center. Okay. Wrap those two bottom sides over. Wrap those leaves over. And roll it on top of itself. So you're just working the sides in, and you're rolling all the way up to the tip. That's it. Super simple. Let's try one great big one, okay? So, plop it in the center. Okay? Roll those sides over. Side, side, roll, roll, roll. Bueno. And that's it. I'm going to continue these, and I'll be back when my whole tray is finished. Okay, we're nearly done. Now here are all of my dolmas already rolled up. That's what a whole tray of them looks like. I did about 35 for a tray. That's how much it is almost every single time. Don't ask me why, whatever. That's how much it is. So now I'm going to add about 2 cups of liquid, okay? If you're going to be like, wow, that seems like a lot of liquid. But these are going to go in the oven for like an hour to an hour and 20 minutes, okay? So you want to make sure that these guys really soften up. Those leaves, especially if they get a little tiny bit bigger, this is my second or third time making them a season. They're a little bit bigger than they were the first couple times. So they need to go a little bit longer just to tenderize those leaves. And you want to make sure everything's nice and tasty. So I have a mixture of some chicken drippings I have from last night's amazing chicken we had. I have some tea in here. I have some liquid in here. And I'm also going to put the juice of 1 lemon in here. Okay, so I'm just going to squeeze this in there. Try not to get any pits if you can. Your hands are your best tools, in my opinion. Make sure you get all the juice out of that, okay? You don't want to waste it. So that's about 2 cups of liquid in its entirety, okay? Now, feel free if you wanted to. You could always add lemon zest as well to the stuffing if you wanted to, and that would give a nice lemon flavor as well. Now you need a little something to pick it up, okay? Because you know it's kind of flat right now is all, but that's cool. Hold on, wash your hands. Okay, so onto the top goes my liquid, all over. Hopefully. Now a lot of recipes will tell you, hey, go ahead and weight that stuff down, right? You're gonna put some recipes ask you to put a whole baking dish on top. Some recipes tell you to put plates on top. Some people ask you to put other extra leaves on the top or on the bottom to insulate. I don't do that. I don't think it's necessary. Now, what you were seeing that went on there was some of the gelatinous stuff that has, come together after that. Those drippings have, cooled. So they're just gonna. They'll reliquify all as well. It's going to be delicious in here. We got chicken stock in here. Come on now. Stupid. Okay, so into my oven. Preheating on 350 degrees. This is going to go for about 50 minutes to an hour and 20. Okay, so I'm going to allow this to be open for, I don't know, first 20 minutes or so. And then I'm going to cover it with my saran wrap. Okay, that's it. That's all. Maybe 15 minutes. And then if you see that your tray is losing moisture or doesn't have enough liquid, make sure that you just add some more. Add water if you have to, stock, whatever, tea. Okay, into my oven they go. Set your timer so you don't forget. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. What you're going to see is the leaves have changed color into that darker, that brownie green color. They've turned into a darker color already. You can see that the bottoms still are bright green, but it's gotten it heated up much faster. All those nice little things that I went on top, the drippings from last night's chicken, gone. They look gorgeous. Oh, can't wait. So now you just need some tin foil, aluminum foil. So we're gonna cover this up. We want to make sure that that liquid stays in there. And there looks like there's enough liquid in there to last us the whole rest of the time. Okay. So this has been in for 15 minutes thus far. I'm going to set this oven for another hour. I'm going to come check this probably in another 30 minutes or so whenever I wander into the kitchen. But in the meantime, it's just going to, you know, do its own thing. You don't even have to sit there and babysit it. So back in the oven for about an hour, set your timer. Now, I'm just getting ready to take these guys out of the oven. Getting my sour cream prepared. And you can serve that with lemon wedges. You can sprinkle parsley on top if you want to. You can drizzle some really nice olive oil on top, which is probably what I'll do on mine. And apparently my dogs want to chime in too. But you can also serve it with lemon wedges as well, which is a nice touch, okay? So I'm going to take it out of the oven. I have already, it's been in there for about an hour and 25 minutes, okay? I had to replace the liquid another time. I had to put another cup in just to make sure that everything stayed nice and liquidy. Now, again, I said this isn't my first time doing the grape leaves this season. This is probably the third or fourth time now. So the leaves are not quite as tender as they used to be. So it used to take 45 minutes to an hour, and now it's taking an hour and 20. So the older the leaves are, the bigger the leaves are, the longer it's going to take, okay? All right. So I tried them out at around an hour, and the leaves, you could tell, were just a little too tough. Now, don't forget, the filling was already completely cooked beforehand, so you don't have to worry about things being cooked inside. The thing you're worrying about is getting those leaves ready, okay? So we're going to grab a spoon. All right. And I'm going to put a couple on my plate, and I'm going to try one for you guys. Aren't they pretty? Beautiful little packages. One just rolled over, no, all open on me. Okay, I'm gonna show you how cute they are. How cute they are, I hope you can see that. So they look like little, you know, stuffed roulades of delicious goodness. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way. Well, no, I'm not. I'm just going to eat it like this. All right, I served mine with the sour cream. I want sour cream. And I have already put half a lemon, the juice of half a lemon on the top, just before I served it, to make sure that you have that fresh lemon flavor as well, okay? And a little bit of sour cream here. Oh, I already did that. And we're gonna cut one up. Here we go. Let's try this. They are extremely hot. Please do not burn your mouth on these guys. Ready? No laughing. The sour cream is so beautiful with that fresh lemon. Now you could also serve tzatziki sauce, and that would probably be even a little bit more authentic, but I didn't make that tonight, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but it would be a very nice touch. Mom, you enjoyed these? I already gave Mom one earlier.
They are so delicious.
Here's Mom's taste test. Are they delicious? You like them?
Oh, love them.
You could tell that the leaves were a little bit different though, yeah?
Well, yes, and as the season goes on, you'll find that the leaves will be a little thicker.
Yes, and that's okay. It has even just a slightly different flavor, a little bit different flavor, I think. And that's even nice. I mean, you're just rolling with the season, you know, as you go with your fruits and veggies of the year. So that's how you make stuffed grape leaves at home. They're also called Dolmas. And they're super easy. Now I've got a whole bag. I prepared the other bag for the freezer of my grape leaves. And look how easy that's gonna store. Like, that's nothing, right? But now I'm prepared. That's a super, it's a super dinner for the week, during the week. And it's really filling. It's easy to do. It takes a little time to just fill them, but everything else is easy. And then you throw it in the oven and you don't even have to worry about it for at least another hour. You can do all kinds of things around the house. Anyway, it's very nutritious. Grape leaves are super nutritious for you. And that's how you make them. That's it. That's all. I hope you follow me on Twitter at Cooking with Kim E with a capital E. I hope you like the fan page. It's facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly. My shows are on ifu.tv/cookingwithkimberly and youtube.com/cookingwithkimberly. And my site is cookingwithkimberly.com. That's it. That's all. Be champions in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye.